Look at all the faces already here. Ooh, it's so exciting. Hey guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. I love it. Get our AI transcript writer on. I wish I could find my real glasses, y'all. I'm so sorry with the lighting. We'll do what we can do. Hi, Chantel. All right. I'm going to do the live giveaway thingamabob early because I think people might want to use it throughout the training. So I'm just giving you a heads up, Chantel. And it's cute, 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 cute. Let's see if I can share my screen to it. That's not the browser that I want. Hold up. Wait a minute. All right. Here we go. This is what she looks like. So pretty. Look how pretty. I didn't make it, so I can say that, and I'm not bragging. Oh, nice. I've got to show you the guys how to do this in one of our coaching calls. This is just a software program that I can put in what I want. Like all of the content is mine, all the writing is mine, but I can say these colors and this is the vibe and blah, blah, blah. And like 15 minutes later, out pops this. I'm like, get it, little Post-it notes. It's pretty darn cool. All righty. If you are here for the first time, so you did not yet come to day one, I want to hear that in the chat. So let me know, is this your first time or is this your second? First time. Is it Rena or Rena or Rena? Rena. Got it. All right. And one of the things that I ask, and this is totally your choice, right? But if you are comfortable putting on your camera, I appreciate it. Hey, Brittany, welcome back. You do not have to, but it does help me to see your friendly faces nodding. So I know that things are landing, or like your eyes glazing over. So I know like, okay, we got to move on, they're bored with this section. So let me know. And I have to tell you something funny. Chantel, you're going to get an extra kick out of this. So this morning I was getting everything ready. And one of the things that I do is I hook up backup internet. And I do that because my house, for some reason, loses power and internet pretty frequently, just like really quick. But that would knock me out of the call. And it takes like 15 minutes for it to re-upload. That's not good when I'm trying to do a live training. So I'm outside trying to set up my secondary internet, which is Starlink. And I'm yanking on the cord. It's a really long cord. I'm like, oh my God, come on, I'm yanking. And all of a sudden I hear this bang because I knocked over my coat rack, which trust me, has a lot of stuff on it. That knocked into a big table where I've been setting up all of the things that we need to leave for our 5-week trip on Wednesday. So it's like the landing zone for all the things that I need to pack into our camper van. That fell over. And then the lamp, of course, that was sitting on top of it also fell over. But I never liked that lamp anyway. So RIP lamp. But that was this morning. So fast forward, and the whole time I'm thinking, Amber, you're being neurotic, putting up this backup satellite, but I can't help it because I really don't want to lose internet. Like you shouldn't even do it. It's not a big deal. I just got a message from my internet provider saying internet might be out for the whole day because of some blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay, good decisions made, good decisions. Welcome everybody. We are about 6 minutes from starting. So today you're gonna want a calculator. I know that's not exciting. I recommend your phone calculator, or if you like the old school kind, get that. We're going to be doing basic math, so don't panic on me. But unless you are a math genius, you're probably going to want a calculator and paper, pen, that kind of stuff. So get your things. I have 2 drinks, water with electrolytes and a bad decision. If you've not had yerba madre, I suggest you do not. It's so good that it's hard to stop, but it's extremely high in caffeine. So I'm going to try to be a responsible adult as I sip it while we're talking. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and ask you, Chantel, to pop the free tool with the password in the chat so that folks that are here early can go ahead and open it up, You'll make a copy. You won't be able to type in the original because that's the original. You'll make a copy. Thank you so much. It's in the chat. When you make a copy, you can edit it, change it, put in the answers to the questions, but you might benefit from having it open while we're meeting today. You're going to get some of the numbers that are in there. If you have a hard time getting in, it does require that you have a Gmail account to get in. Thank you. Thanks, Sabrina. We will drop it multiple times just so that the folks who are coming in will still be able to get it. All right. Everybody getting settled in? Thanks so much to those of you who can turn on your cameras. It's so good to see your faces. Now, last time I asked some questions in the chat, and then I ran that, Shirley, my amazing teammate, ran that through some software to see what some of the trends were, and they were so interesting. So 40% of you have known me for a hot minute, and you've probably come to these trainings before. 60% of you are new to me, and I have no idea where you came from. I don't know if you came through our Facebook group or if you came from a Facebook ad or maybe Instagram or YouTube. I have no idea, but I'm so glad that you're here. And if you know how you found out about me in this training, let me know in the chat. I would appreciate that. But some other cool data is back in the day, so I've been doing this training series for probably one version of a training series for over 10 years now. And usually the people who come are like half at some sort of agency. Hey, Eric, good to see you. Half coming from an agency, moving into private practice, and then half are already in private practice and wanting to leave insurance or big tech or other platforms. Or they have some private pay clients and they want more. This time around, 99% of you who came to training one are already in private practice. So that's pretty cool. I'm curious if those stats will hold today, but 99% already in private practice, and many of you already getting some private pay clients. So that's outstanding. If you're just coming in, you're going to want to grab your free tool. We're giving it out at the start of the session today. The link is here, and the secret word is also in the chat for you to be able to open it up. You're going to want to make a copy so that you can edit in there. Thank you, guys. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So this day will be a little tiny bit of an emotional roller coaster. So if you're feeling a little edgy, I just want to give you some reassurance that on the other side of the stressful part, you will feel better. Okay, we're going to be okay, but we might have to go through it for a minute to get to the other side of okay. Josephine, she's in private practice, 2 clients, but mostly still agency and trying to make the shift. That is exactly how I left my agency. I was like, let me make sure that I've got a cushion before I leave my reliable income and go out on my own. My boss was super cool too, because he let me take a vacation day. I think I did it like once a month or once every other week or something like that. And I focused purely on my private practice. And then he let me take one day a week using my vacation time. And I built up my practice that way. And then eventually, because I'm spoiled rotten and have had great bosses, I ran out of vacation time. And I was like, what if I take an unpaid day off? Because then I could keep my benefits package for a while longer while I continued building my therapy practice. So it was very cool. All right. So LB is saying, been in private pay from the start, but cannot fill my caseload 4 years in. Referrals have gone off a cliff since April. And Sabrina saying, I'm right there with you. If you are having a similar experience, can you share it in the chat? One thing that I'm hearing from a lot of therapists, hey, Letitia's here. Letitia does websites for therapists. So if you want to drop your info in the chat, go for it. One thing that I've been hearing a lot from therapists is therapists who have previously had successful private pay clients have seen a major drop in the last year. So they were previously no problem, no problem, no problem, no problem. And then all of a sudden a drop off has happened. So we've been doing a deep dive and some research around that. And the trend that I'm seeing, and a couple of my other fellow marketing coaches are seeing with therapy clients, is When you are in the higher private pay rate, you're getting clients faster than people who are in the average private pay rate. So like 100, 125, 85 private pay, filling way, way slower, staying in therapy shorter. People who are in the upper ends, like 300, they're filling faster. Now, not just because they listed themselves as 300, right? Obviously, they're doing the marketing work. It's not a magic bullet here, but they're filling faster and their people are staying longer. And this is what's crazy. Do you ever have that fear that if you went all private pay, all of your clients would switch to every other week? Yeah. Okay. So these folks who are paying the 300 and up, they're coming weekly or wanting more frequent sessions per week, not because they're in crisis, but because they can. So we're going to get into, hey, Chev, some of the mindset stuff and a lot of the practical stuff today. Welcome, everybody. All right. We have already dropped the free tool in the chat. So for coming live, you get a free tool and it's meant to amplify what you're doing and make things go better and faster for you. I know, Eric, isn't it crazy? It's crazy. But, so Eric says, the research blows my mind with the economy. And I'll speak a little bit to that and we can talk more about it in coaching stuff as well. But I feel like, how do I say this diplomatically? Let me just stay with statistics and then I don't have to say it any particular way. As economies get wobbly or start going down, what tends to happen is that there's a bifurcation. So the people, you've heard this, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. We've heard it, but because we don't tend to occupy the socioeconomic status groups of the rich who are getting richer, all we see are people like us who are struggling more, right? Groceries are expensive, gas is expensive. And so our minds go to, so why is anybody going to prioritize therapy unless they're in mega crisis when everything is so expensive? But what we're thinking about are people who have the same tax bracket as we have. This kind of makes sense because we tend to hang out with people who are like us and who are in a similar socioeconomic status that we are. But I can tell you that I've lived in a couple places now where the socioeconomic status was very, very high. And I was at the low end of that totem pole. And if you ever sit in a bar having a drink, or you're nosy like me, and when you go to dinner, you're listening to the conversations at all of the tables around you, is that just me? You overhear a lot of stuff, including things about private planes and like, oh, can you believe that we had to wait for an hour? And you just start to understand that there are people out there who, trust me, are struggling in the same way every human being struggles. We all have emotions. We all have families. We all have stressors. They're struggling in the same way, and they're ready to pay for therapy. So I know it feels super weird and it's incongruent, but this is the example that'll make better sense. When you guys were in college, did you ever see, like, you would go into the bathroom stall and there was a big poster on the wall and it gave you the stats of how much alcohol and drugs students your age were actually doing, like self-report measures? It was such a good campaign because the numbers were so much lower than any of us thought. But because we're going to parties and we're seeing everybody get wasted, we're thinking like, oh, we're the only dum-dum who's not getting wasted at the party, right? But no, most other people were like us. So it was helpful to see the data on that. And I think in the same way will be helpful to start thinking that maybe you do not represent economically some of your clients. Yeah, Julie says, honey, will you pay another horse next weekend? I'm sure you'll like them more than this one. Exactly. I mean, right now, if you are in upper middle socioeconomic status, you're looking at property, right? Because your money is doing its thing in the stock market and you want to diversify where your money's sitting. And so you're looking at property. This is what's happening when some of us are struggling to pay gas bills and some of us are doing a lot better than that. And so the gas doesn't even hit our register other than a small complaint over dinner. All right. Brittany says this resonates. I'm fully off of insurance panels and have my rate at 280, but I have trouble thinking about where to find people who can easily afford my rate. This is also making me wonder if I should actually raise my rate to over 300. You would have an easier time over 300. It's just a psychological, it's a psychological principle. We can talk more about this in a coaching call. There's a psychological principle to pricing. And so 300 would be easier, maybe even 325 to get people than 280. We can talk more about it. I get very excited. Okay. If you don't have the free tool yet, go ahead and download that. Chantel's dropped in the chat. It looks like this when you open it. And you're going to want to make a copy so that you can type in there. We're going to be going through some of these numbers today together so you can fill it out. But it's very much a business tool for you to be able to use for the rest of your life in your business to make sure you're building the practice that will set you up for the life that you want to have, rather than kind of building a practice out of default that ends up eating a lot of your life. All right, let me switch what we're looking at here. We talked a lot last time about dream life. And today we're going to be talking about how the heck you get there. So first we had to call it to mind, and now we need to help you figure out how to get there. And we talked a little bit about how our boundaries sometimes are slippery and it gets in the way of us getting closer to our dream life. And instead we get farther and farther away. Your fee is one of those boundaries. So we're going to talk about fee setting today. And what we're not going to do is set our fee according to what we think other people are doing in our area. We're going to set our fee based on the life that you want to live. So if you didn't hear me say at the beginning, grab a paper, grab a calculator. You're going to want those tools handy and something to write with. This was just a reminder for me to remember to give the free gift to the tool. And this is just to make everybody as happy as I am, because this baby is joining my life on Thursday. So if you keep coming to the training series, you're going to meet this little pupperoo. His name is Banjo. You're in the right place if you're wanting more income, but to work fewer hours so that you can do fun stuff outside of work. And also, and this is very important to me, stay in alignment with your values. So a heart of service, but not so much that you're losing your life. When we talked last time, we talked a lot about your North Star. And the reason that we do that is because we have to know the why behind you seeking private pay clients so that you can maintain your momentum when life starts lifing. Because life is going to create urgency. There's going to be family emergencies. The dog's going to throw up on the carpet. You're going to have had a long day. And the reality is that marketing takes your time and attention. If we do not have right in front of us the reason that we're doing it, we're going to be pulled sideways by all of life's distractions. So in the chat for me, please remind me of what your North Star is. For many, many, many of you, it was more freedom and flexibility. I think that was the highest answer that we had. And as you type that in the chat, for most of you, you're going to put something down there that's a little amorphous, like freedom and flexibility is a little bit amorphous, right? Can you get more specific and think through what are the things that you would regret not having changed if you don't change them now? 10 years from now, 20 years from now, what are the specific regrets? For instance, occasionally my mom, who now lives about an hour away, which is lovely to have her that close, will say, hey, do you want to go to the garden show? And my mind immediately is like, oh, I have so much work to do. But if I don't remember my why, I'll skip out on that memory-making opportunity with my mom because I have more urgent, deadline-y things to do. But then I'm living out of alignment with my values. So tell me in the chat, what is it for you? Karen says, the freedom to visit my grandson as much as I can and travel for new experiences. Stability and financial security. Seeing say it correctly, Amber. Seeing clients 3 days a week, traveling more, have the autonomy to see flow clients, yes, who make me excited to work every day. So when y'all say work-life balance, I'm going to say even more specific. even more specific than that. What does that mean? Does that mean you're going to some sort of yoga class or movement experience twice a week? What does that mean? And the reason I'm pushing this is that if we are not clear on your why, you're going to lose momentum. And if you're anything like me, you're going to get shiny object syndrome. And the shiny object that I see a lot of therapists, I'm going to say what I think, falling for is, gosh, I need to make more money, so I'm going to start a side hustle. And it makes me want to tear my hair out because I want you guys to do side hustles because you can make so much impact that way beyond just the therapy room. But side hustle income takes way freaking longer to get. It's much harder to sell. The results are much less predictable. And your income, like my income, because I'm doing a side hustle right now, is much more variable. So what my suggestion is fill your private pay practice first, open up the time and let the income from your side hustle become gravy or icing, whichever you like better. Are you Southern? Then you're going to like the gravy. If you're not, you might like the icing. Okay. So shiny object syndrome, I'm a shiny object girl. If there's a shiny object, my attention has been diverted. And I have to remember, like, is this in alignment with my why? You will notice that the series moves in a particular direction because every single time we meet, we're building on the previous thing. So last time we had to come up with our why. Now we're going to come up with the money math that will actually make that why practical and actionable. But once you come up with a number, let's say it's 325 for getting your private pay clients, we got to know how to get found by those people who want to pay $325 a session, right? So that's where we go on Wednesday. The next meeting is like, once they find you, how do we make them pick you? So that's about copywriting mostly. And then by day 5, you're going to have all of these things in your mind of like, this is how I get clients. But I want to leave you with a specific plan in place. Most of you will choose to DIY it. And I want you to have a 90-day plan of what you need to do. And then some of you will come along with me into my paid program, the Marketing Intensive. And that plan is going to help you get a head start there too. So I told you a bit about me last time. I don't want to spend a ton of time there. I think the most important thing for you to know now about me is, why should you listen? And there are 2 reasons. One is I did this myself. I did an online therapy practice when I knew one other human in the entire US who was doing an online therapy practice, and I went straight to private pay. Mostly out of fear of insurance, but whatever, I did it and it still worked. So I was able to do that with 0 marketing training and 0 business training. And now I've taught a whole bunch of therapists how to do the same thing. So I'll sprinkle testimonials throughout all of this so that you know it's not just me telling you that it's possible, but there are people out there who are already doing the damn thing, who have been through my free or paid training program. Today's focus, we're coming up with your plan so that you can see fewer clients, a realistic session fee for your dream life, math that makes your future possible, and ethical, values-driven decisions around money. If there's any takeaway from today that feels most important, it is that I think most of us think we need a lot less than we do. And that's why it can be maybe a little bit easier for us to slide our scale or whatever, because we actually haven't done the math to know, what do we need to make? So let me see in the chat, have you talked with a financial planner to figure out, like, how much do I need for retirement? How much am I going to have to pay in taxes most years? What are my expenses truly, truly? How do I get out of my college debt if you have some? And do you have a number you're actively working with as you're setting up your fees and your business? Let me know, just yes or no in the chat. Yes, I actively know what the heck I'm supposed to be doing and why, how much I'm supposed to make. Chris is a yes. Or no, I don't know. I'm just going by the seat of my pants here. Just seems like sort of. No, but I would like to. Okay, we're going to get you close today. I should say this caveat. I'm not a financial planner. I'm not a tax guru. I'm not your money coach. So these are kind of big picture ideas. You should absolutely get into the nitty gritty with somebody trained to get you there. Okay. It's dangerous for us to just be going along and not thinking through what we're going to need. And I hear therapists say all the time, I'm just going to work till I'm dead. Well, that's presuming quite a lot. That's presuming you don't get dementia. It's presuming that you really want to. It's presuming that your chronic fatigue syndrome has gotten better, not worse, right? So let's plan as if you're going to retire so that you can actually have the freedom to if you choose to. You're going to need more money than you think, and you can get there so much freaking easier than you actually think. So we're going to cover both today. Most of us have some money mindset. Let's call them hiccups. I want us to really think today about money being a tool rather than an expression of greed. But before we can get there, I need you to tell me a little bit of your own money hiccups. So for example, if I charge $325, other therapists are going to judge me. Shoot, I might judge me. Or if I charge that rate, I'm going to be a horrible therapist because I'm going to be so anxious about trying to get results for this person that I'm not going to be able to actually do my job. What are some of the money stories that you are telling yourself? To this day, I can't talk to my husband about my session fee because he doesn't like it. He feels like it's too high. And he's a beneficiary of that, right? What are the things that hold you back? If I charge more, I'll be more of a fraud than I am already. Am I good enough to charge more? Imposter syndrome and feeling like I belong in the spaces that people who earn that much hang out in. Ooh, I like that. That my clinical skill isn't good enough to justify and bring in high fee clients. Honesty time, I love that. I'm worried that a client sitting across from me will be sitting there looking at me saying, I'm paying $325 for this? Yeah, oh, God, that just gives me the quiver. That would be the worst. And somebody might back topic, all of that. I just feel very uncomfortable in my body thinking about charging more. I'm not good enough. Am I worth that fee? Who is she to charge so much? If I charge that much, then I have to be doubly certain to get results. And I can't guarantee that. The worst therapy session I ever did, you guys, was the first session I charged $200 for. And it was also like I had been charging $150. Well, I charged $200 and I was a mess. I threw every freaking technique at this poor man, and I'm not a technique-driven therapist, but I was just like, gotta get results, gotta get results, gotta get results. It was awful. I wanted to refund him, but he stuck with me, and we ended up turning into a really good relationship. I don't want to waste their money. Fear that I just won't find the clients. Will I leave lower income folks behind? I couldn't afford that rate myself. So how am I going to pay it? My best friend had that feedback to me when I was like, girl, you got to charge more. And she's like, I can't afford to pay that much to my therapist. And I was like, well, you're never going to be able to if you don't start charging more. Somebody's mic just came on. So check your mics. So she actually did increase her rates, and then she started paying her own therapist more. Okay. I'll share something else with you, and we'll get into the weeds with this later, but I don't want to forget this idea that you're going to become inaccessible. I've got two pieces of feedback I don't want to give you on that. One is the more resources you have, the more you can give if you choose to. Now, you can make a whole bunch of money and become selfish overnight. I suppose that's possible. But most therapists that I know aren't like that. And the more time, energy, or money they have, the more they tend to shepherd it to others. So just think this through. Let's say that you're making, I'm doing math on the spot, 60 grand a year. And you're like, I'm going to donate 10% to a cause that's meaningful to me. That's 6 grand. Good job, you. That's a lot of money to give away. But, and if I'm doing math wrong, roll with me, okay? You know what I'm trying to say. But let's say instead you're making 200 grand. What's 10% of 200 grand? You're giving away $20,000. Which is going to make a bigger impact, the 6 grand or the 20 grand? Okay. Another way to look at this is, and again, if you're selfish now, you might be selfish then, but most of you are generous human beings, so you're still going to be generous when you're making more money. Another way to look at that is when I have my rates high, I was able to do 20 to 25% of my caseload pro bono. I did the math on that a little while ago, and it was anywhere between $28,000 a year to $38,000 a year of therapy I was giving away. And what was cool about it is I wasn't paying for that. out of my mortgage or my student loan payment or, my Wantable subscription when I was getting clothes in the mail, right? It was being subsidized by people who were earning enough money that their session fee was not a big deal to them. They were seeing me twice a week. So when we're thinking about this fear of I'm going to become inaccessible, I want you to think about, is that really true? How could I remain accessible and take really good care of myself? We just have to be a little bit more creative. It's a little shortcut to be like, let me get this person $15 off, and that makes me accessible, right? Well, you've helped one person for maybe 15 sessions. We can make a much bigger impact. Another way you can make an impact is, let's say that you're working 12 hours a week with your therapy clients, and you have all of that extra time to build a free membership helping people with emotion regulation skills. And you have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people coming through that membership. Impact gets bigger. Does that make sense? Okay. I will share one piece that when I was doing those pro bono spots and I was feeling very good about myself for doing it, I did forget one piece, which was like, I cut it a little too close to the bone. And when I had a family member who needed financial support, I didn't have as much as I would have liked to have been able to give her. So do think about like rationing how you help so that you can help the people you care about the most if that situation comes up. There's one other thing. This is the other thing I want to say about accessibility. What therapists say is, I can't find clients. What clients say is, I can't find a therapist. So what's the problem that these two people share? And it's marketing. You're not getting in front of your people. So if you genuinely want to be accessible, whether you learn to do it with me or somebody else, you've got to get yourself in front of these people, because companies like BetterHelp, Talkspace, Alma, Headway, they're getting in front of your people. So you can make a decision if you want to be accessible by learning how to market. Okay, off of my high horse there. I hope that was very inspiring and motivating. What money really is freedom. It's the right or opportunity to do what you want, whether that's giving money to other people or buying yourself a yacht, whatever that happens to be. And I will tell you that I'm no like perfect little mathematician. So when I got what I felt was a really good job at a really cushy place, I felt like I had made it. This is maybe 12 years ago, and I was earning 85 grand a year, which at the time was really good. And I had a kick butt benefits package that was worth like 15 to 30% of my salary. So even more salary on top of that. So it was like $110,500 between my salary, my benefits, retirement, all that stuff. So I was like, I'm kind of kicking ass right now, right? But I was working 50 hours a week. I was commuting 10 hours a week. I started thinking like, I'm loving work, not living very much life outside of work. Let me just do a little math real quick, because honestly, private practice always felt very risky to me. It had never occurred to me that I would make most of my income through a private practice. But I was tired. So I did a little math and I thought, okay, let me see if I take my 110.5 and I divide that by 52 weeks. How much am I getting paid an hour? And I just said if I'm working 40 hours a week. I didn't even count the actual time I was working, the actual commute time. And I realized like, wait. I'm getting paid $53 an hour? $53 an hour? With a grad degree and many years of experience. And I thought to myself, now wait a minute. If I were to charge people just $100-ish in a private practice, I could literally work half the hours and earn the same amount of money. Because remember, I counted for my salary and my benefits. And when I realized like all I have to do is find 20 people who will pay me $106 and I have cleared my salary, I was on the train. I was like, yes, please. How many of you did some sort of calculation like that when you were thinking about going into private practice or figuring out if you want to leave your agency? Okay, but I haven't found 20 people in 3 years. Okay, so let's take a little pause there. Tell me what you guys have already done to market in the chat. give me a laundry list just so I have a sense of what you've already done. And then after that, I'm going to ask you for a follow-up, which is how much money have you spent on marketing so far? So just kind of add it up loosely. So your psychology today, if you've run Google ads, if you hired somebody to do your copy or your website, what have you tried and how much have you paid? I want to get a sense of where we're at here. Okay, only psychology today, website copy, website directory, Google ads, psychology today, word of mouth, lots of networking. Good, Ellie. RK's paid 15 grand, trying to have a good website. Okay, 3 grand, 2,500 on website copy, site today and other directories. Okay. Okay. All right. We're going to get into the deep end of the pool on Wednesday about how to get found. Here's the big picture. Most of us have been throwing a little spaghetti at the wall, but we didn't know it. So we're told, hey, go hard on social media. That's how you get clients. Or, hey, you have to have great copy on your website. That's how you're going to get clients. Well, that is one piece of the picture. That is one piece of getting picked. But if nobody ever sees your website, you can't get picked. We have to have both sides of the equation, the get found and the get picked. Now, I will add one more, which is you do have to be a bomb-ass therapist with your ideal client. Not every client, just one you have to be good at treating. Can't be not a good therapist and still fill a private pay practice, okay? So we got 2 issues. How am I getting found? Social media is not part of your get found strategy, so let that go. How do I get picked once I'm found? That's it. But if we're only doing 1 or 2 strategies, 1 or 2 techniques, that is not a strategy. That's not a cohesive thing. It's sort of like, you know how people say that insight doesn't equal change in therapy? Like you can help a person understand themselves, but then they actually have to take action based on that insight. Same with marketing. We need both pieces happening hand in hand. So the good news is if you have invested time or money into your marketing, probably that is one piece of the marketing strategy and you're going to use it. So it won't have been wasted, but we do have to make sure we're connecting the puzzle pieces. Having a great website is awesome, but if nobody ever lands there, it is a billboard in the woods, baby. And SEO is not SEOing right now the way that it used to. So we'll talk about that as well. Okay. So if you are in an agency and you are thinking about leaving, take a screenshot of this and you can figure out your own math. Let me see, I might have a better one. Nope, that was the best one. You can take a screenshot. I'm going to count it down. 3, 2, 1. I'm going to keep moving. There's another piece that I'm seeing therapists do that's a little bit of a problem in figuring out how much money you're actually making. Okay, so put in the chat, what do you list your rate as on your website? Let me see that first. And I'll tell you what I did, because it was a little bit of a mistake. I did a great job finding a good business coach early on. And she knew that I was trying to hit $200 a session. But maybe kind of for the first year, I slid my rate all over the place. So like some people were free, some people were $35, some people were $55, some people were $125. Like it was a little bit of a mess. So she's coaching me and she's like, Amber, the next client that comes in, because my caseload was full just with people paying all sorts of weird rates. She's like, the next person who comes in, you are not allowed to slide your rate no matter what. You're going to say 200 and you're going to shut your little mouth and you're going to be quiet and you're going to see what happens, right? And that person said yes. And the next person said yes. And the next person said yes. And so I was like, woohoo, I am doing it. And I report back to Evie, like, look what I did. I got another $200 client. And she's like, that's awesome. She celebrated with me for like 0.2 seconds. And then she's like, let's do some math. And she made me look at how much every single client was paying me and figure out not what my rate was, but what my average reimbursement was. So across all the sliding scale, across all the pro bono, I only had like 3 $200 clients. Everybody else was not there. So the reason that I wasn't being able to hit my savings the way that I wanted to and fund my retirement was because I felt like I was succeeding. I think I had succeeded, frankly, but I was just on my way there. Okay. So if you can, and I know this is like off the cuff, you might not have access to this information now, but maybe take a screenshot. And if you know it, let's do it to figure out what your true average reimbursement is across all clients. So how much are you actually getting paid for each hour of clinical work that you are doing? And you can take a screenshot if you would like. If you were to do this math, what is your guess? Would your guess be like, heck yeah, I'm earning exactly what I want. This is perfect. How many of you would be like, needs a little improvement? And how many of you would be shocked and appalled by how much you're actually earning per hour? This is a judgment-free zone, but what's your guess? I know some of you are doing the math and that's okay. If you don't have the brain capacity to also type in your guess. What do you think? And these are just my play numbers to show you. Average is 140. You're so good. Adding more $100 sessions is not a great plan, right? It's so much easier to not slide your scale when you know that number. When I have to think about like, okay, so if I need my average reimbursement to be 200 and I slide my scale for this person to 150, I actually have to charge somebody else 250 to get myself to the average reimbursement that I'm trying to hit. Well, as soon as I acknowledge that to myself, then I'm like, okay, I can't slide my scale because I couldn't bring myself at that time to charge 250 for somebody else. Yes. Okay. Good job, guys. 175, 212. Nice. Nice. Okay. But I only have 10 clients. I hear you. I hear you. The very first step of marketing, you guys, is to find out what the heck your fee needs to be. Because we're going to target market to places where people can afford your fee. So in the Marketing Intensive, we have an exercise where we help you identify what zip codes in the states you're able to practice in can support your fee and have the demographics that match with the type of client you're trying to serve. That way, we know where we're trying to market to, and then we can do online and person-to-person marketing to those places. Every single one of our states has at least one city that can afford a rate of 150 or above for weekly sessions for 1 year. So thank me and ChatGPT. That one took us about 7 hours to figure out, but we did get there. And the reality is, even if your state didn't, there are multiple states now where you can practice even if you don't have a license there. So we can talk through that too if you don't know it. Let's see. Well, I can tell you that I don't make enough to have gotten off of SSI yet. I'm blind, so Social Security figures in my impairment and work-related expenses into my benefits adjustment. I pay for marketing, CEUs, and other stuff that adds up, so I only could even save up some money in an ABLE account, which is only because Social Security reimbursed me. But now they're saying they overpaid me. You better stop it and want it back. Oh, see, this kind of crap hurts my brain. It hurts. And when you think about, I'm going to go off on a slight tangent. When you think about some of the companies that we've started partnering with, because they were kind of like pretty alluring when they're saying, hey, I'm going to get you clients. And a lot of them were reimbursing higher than the insurance companies were because they're smarties and they made a contract with that insurance company so that if you got with, let's say, Headway, and they were charging through, I'm going to make some things up here, Blue Cross Blue Shield, even if you were credentialed independently, Blue Cross Blue Shield, you would make more through Headway. Right. But over time, those reimbursements have started going down and your client's confidentiality has also started going down because they have begun, not all of them, I'm not naming names because I don't want to be sued, but they have started making money in new ways by selling or sharing client data and other super weird, gross stuff, in my strong opinion. I'm a very strong opinion. Okay, let's go back to our slides. So we have to know your fee to know where we're going to target. And we have to know your ideal client in and out. And you can have as many as you want. But we have to know each one of them inside and out, which we cover on day 4. So how do we figure out the math for you? Because when you know the math, the money mindset changes become easy. So I want you to honestly tell me in the chat, how many clients would you see a week if money wasn't an issue? Like you got to do it because it's joyful to you, because you have a heart of service, you love your work, you have ideal clients. I don't want you thinking about your bills. I just want you thinking about like, I love my job. Here's how many clients I want to see a week. Good. And then I want you to think about how many weeks a year do you want to work? Do not say 52. Sometimes you're going to get sick. You're going to want to take vacations. That's the kind of life that we want to set up for you. So good. So 40, I love that. Love it. 44, 45, don't forget your holidays. Really nothing much happens in my life during Christmas week, right? That's going to be a week that I'm going to take off because I got to cook a bunch of stuff. That's a lie. I don't cook much at all. All right. Good. So this is all we need to know. We need to know how much you want to make, how many weeks you want to work, how many clients you want to see a week. So let me see in the chat. If you're thinking about how much you want to make, this will be a loose number for now. We'll get more specific. What's that number? Is it 150? Is it 200 grand? Is it 100 grand? What's the number? I have so many nosy questions and I'm controlling myself. Okay. When you guys give that number, have you done math to get to it, or are you just naming a number? Just naming a number. I love it. Hillary's like, yeah, I'm just naming a number. Yeah. Most of us are just naming a number. That's the truth. Like, and then we see other people's number and then we kind of like base our number on their number, you know? Darcy's done some math. All right, so let's take the desired salary. Let's divide it by the number of weeks that you want to work. This is where your calculator is your friend. And then we're going to divide that by the number of clients or the number of sessions you want to do each week that you work. And boom, shakalaka, you have your session fee. Actually, what you have is your average reimbursement amount. Yes. I love it, Sheila. See, I love this because sometimes when we do the math, we find out like, whoa, I'm in a way better position than I realize. Like, I'm doing okay. And that's fantastic. I love that. All right, I'm seeing 333, 340, 347, 212, almost 100 more than my current rate. Yep. 303, 210, 312, 290, 416, 290, 175. I love it. Esther says, and that's definitely possible. Yes. Yes. So in the marketing intensive, I swear I'm not trying to pimp it right now, but we do a formula where we look at your required, like I gotta cover my expenses number. You're like, this would be nice. I'd have some cushion, and then your dream number. And we include retirement, we include taxes, and then you get your session number. So it's very specific. I also want to point out to you, so we've talked about like private practice. Are you getting your actual rate? Is your average reimbursement rate like a long way from the rate that you really need? I want to talk about insurance for a sec. How many of you are taking insurance? Yes or no in the chat? Any insurance, including if you're going through a platform that bills insurance for you. On average, if you are taking insurance, you are making $60 less per hour than somebody who is charging for private pay. And I don't mean like they're charging the premium private pay rates. I'm saying the average rates. So average reimbursement for insurance, average reimbursement private pay. Have you ever in your life gotten a $60 an hour raise? No, we get like $5 an hour raises, right? $60 an hour simply by moving from insurance to private pay. Now, for me, that number feels vague. So I did a little math and I said, okay, so if I'm seeing 20 clients and I get a $60 hour raise for each of those clients times 48 weeks in a year, I would give myself a $57,000 raise in 1 year. So I want you to imagine that you work hard at marketing for 9 months, 12 months, and now you have private pay clients where you once had insurance clients. Immediately, you're making $57,600 more a year. Does that blow your mind like it blows my mind? What's your reaction to that? Let me see in the chat, because when I do that math, my mind's like, what the actual? Like, that's pretty crazy. So even if you didn't go for your dream session rate, you are still getting a massive freaking raise. And how many more years do you want to work? So if you want to work 10 more years, what we're looking at is almost a $600,000 raise on top of your income that you're getting over those 10 years. So the big myth is that having at least some private pay clients isn't necessary. It's just a want. And my argument is that most of us aren't thinking about retirement. So even if you've done the math on paying for your bills, you probably haven't done the math on paying for retirement. Now, there are retirement calculators out there. So I'm not going to get in the weeds with you, but I'm going to just show you the basic premise. So they want you to estimate how much you're going to spend per year once you're retired. So I just put in 100 grand. They have an 80% rule that I'm not getting into, but it takes us down to 80 grand. You minus out your Social Security. I didn't do that because I like to be conservative, and I don't know that I believe that Social Security will be available when I'm ready to take it. And then you multiply it, right? So when I did that, and here are my numbers, I was very disturbed because the number was $2 million in retirement. $2 million to live off of 100 grand a year. So that made me feel like this is impossible and forget about it. But I cannot be tamed. So I started playing with compound interest calculators. I'm like, okay, what does this really mean? And what it meant is if I had a starting savings in my retirement account of 10,000, which is what most therapists have put away. And I was 47, I think, when I did this math. I needed to put in $2,400 a month into my retirement account to hit my goals. Okay. And my first reaction to that was like, well, that's impossible. How am I going to get $2,400 extra a month? And then I thought about my fees. And if I was charging 200, that's just 3 clients. If I was charging 150, that's just 4 clients. I can see I can get 3 to 4 clients. It's a big, big country. I can find 3 to 4 people in the entirety of the country who are going to pay me 150 to 200. And I really feel like it's not an option not to make this change. So I'm going to move us here because I know we're going to be coming up on time soon. When you see your session rate, most of you will have a reaction of like, how am I going to find enough people to pay that rate, right? Of course, because you're smart. But I want you to remember that we are not selling widgets. We only have a limited number of spots that we need to fill. So in the chat, tell me, how many sessions are you typically seeing a client for before they graduate? So do you see them like for a year? So 52 sessions, we're doing loose math. Do you tend to see people for 15 sessions? That's great, LB. About a year, 12 to 18 sessions. Keep it coming in. Let me see. 1 to 2 years. 1 year, 6 to 9 months, 3 years, several years. Great. Okay, we're in a good place. So the dirty little secret is when your treatment framework is longer term, you're going to need fewer new clients each year because your clients stay with you longer. If you're doing solution focused work where you're seeing people for 3 sessions, you've got faster turnover. You have to bring in more clients in the year. So I know some of you are doing shorter term therapy, and that does mean you have to market harder. But when you're doing longer term therapy, You guys catch a break. You get to market a little less. So let's again do the math and figure out how many new clients do you actually need every single month in order to stay full, okay? This is going to ease your anxiety, I hope. So let's say that your number of sessions you're wanting to do each week is 15. We're going to multiply that times the number of weeks that you want to work. It tells us how many sessions per year you're going to do. So I'm going to pause and let you do that math. Okay. Now take the number of sessions per year, divide it by the number of sessions that you have with each client. So I really wish I would have done different things here. But let's say that you see your clients for 15 sessions. That's the number that goes here. If you see your clients for a year, 52 sessions goes here. If you see them for 2 years, you do that math, 104, right? So the number of sessions total that you're going to see each one. I always get so nervous when I'm teaching this part because teaching math is not my strength. That tells you how many unique clients you will need each year. Let's divide by the 12 months of the year. And now we have how many new clients you need each month. I want to see your answers. And you can take a screenshot of this. If you get performance anxiety and you're like, I'll never be able to do that math while everybody's on the screen, take a screenshot. Oh, I'm loving these numbers. 1 new client a month, 1.25, 2.2, 5, 3.5. Now, y'all, it's okay if you don't understand the math, Arcade. Like, it took me hours to get here. So just take a screenshot and you can play with it after. The one thing that I screwed up on when I did this is I'm seeing 15 clients per week. And then I also put that I see clients for 15 sessions total. That like makes it a little bit confusing. I'll fix it for next year. Awesome. Awesome job. Now tell me, emotional temper check. How are you feeling seeing that number? If you see a client, Susan, for several years, do 52 times the number. So 52 times 3 if you see them for 3 years. And that's what you'll divide by. Okay, so Darcy's like 1 new client every 2 weeks. No freaking problem. Yeah, Cindy, I have math anxiety too. I remember my math teacher's names, that level of anxiety. Yeah, I'll be saying frustrated. It should be easier than that to get an extra 1 client a month. That's just because you don't know the strategy yet. Yeah. So the way that I determine average session number with clients is just best guessing my caseload. My caseload tends to stay long-term. You know, they're going to stay 2 to 3 years. Occasionally, somebody will graduate in 3 months or 6 months, but on average, people are staying several years. Okay. If you're having trouble with the math, let's talk about it in the coaching session, and I will bring this slide back up and we'll walk through it together. So I want you to remember that this is not about your worth. There's no part of me when I talk to a new client that says, I'm worth $250 an hour, pay me. Like, I'm never thinking that. I'm just thinking this is the rate that I need to get paid, and they can choose to pay it or not. They can choose to pay it or not. There are not billions. There are a lot of therapists out there. If I'm not the one for them, that's okay. I'm still going to help them get connected to somebody who is, okay? So it's just math. You don't even have to think you're worth it. You just need somebody else to, and we can make that happen. So in the marketing intensive, we get into detail about how much do you need, how much do you want, how much do you dream of, because I'm not one of those coaches who believes like, if you just put 300 on your website and then you never take any less, and you tell all your clients who've been paying $50 for 10 years that they need to pay 300 now. Like, I'm not that person. We have a step-by-step strategy to get you where you need to go based on where you are. So bills got to be paid. We can't just manifest $300 a session overnight. So we're going to stepwise you there in a way that makes sense for your clients from an ethical and moral point of view. And also for you, for your finances point of view, because I don't want anybody going broke on their way to filling their practice. So give me a little emotional check-in. How are you feeling? let me know. Give me a little chatty chat. I want you to recognize that you don't need that many new clients that often. You probably need more money than you think you do, and you can get there more easily than you think that you can. We're going to market hard for 9 to 12 months. And I do mean hard. And then you're going to get to coast. There is a little bit of maintenance to keep your marketing up. But the hard part is that first year. So, is it really worth it? And that's a genuine question. We come back to what is the why? What would melt away for you if you had more income? I would find a way so that my husband didn't have to go to his job. If he wanted to retire, I would love to be able to fund his ability to retire. Because my job is so dang portable. It's like I'm semi-retired, but his job isn't. It's in an office. It's 40 hours a week. It's a traditional job. I would love for him to have the same freedom and flexibility that I do. What would happen if you had more time? Would you, when you're with your kids, instead of being focused just on commuting and filling their lunch boxes, actually be able to sit down and have a real conversation? The problem doesn't start with marketing for most people. It starts with boundaries. And boundaries are about, in this case, doing math and knowing your rates. And something I want to make sure you take home with you, take a screenshot of this if you want to hold it close to your heart, is when I would be on the phone doing free consultations. And I have the number on a Post-it on my desk of like, girlfriend, this is what you need to be able to do retirement, this. And I really want to work with this client and they really want to work with me, but they can't pay my full fee. I would remember this quote: boundaries are the distance at which I can love you and me simultaneously. If I can't take that client, the way that I can love them and me simultaneously is to invest some time in helping them find somebody who can fit for them, including for their budget. Okay, so here's what the marketing path looks like. You first set your darn fee. Then we target market those cities where your ideal client is. And I'm saying cities, but it might be professions, or it might be, wherever your niche happens to be. We find them, we market to them. We create a referral loop where they refer to us and everybody in their provider circle also refers to us. And then we do kick-ass therapy, because we're only bringing in those clients for whom we can be a kick-ass therapist. Okay, you have a little bit of homework. We went through math super fast today. There's not a chance that if I were on your side of the screen, I would have been able to do that math that fast. So if that was you, don't panic. You can watch the replay. It's on YouTube as of probably tonight, later tonight, definitely tomorrow. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel while I have you here and I can promote my stuff. And I want you to actually do this math and come up with the rate that you need to be reimbursed on average across all of your clients. Now, what I'm going to ask you to do, I hope you feel motivated, but please don't run to your caseload this week and be like, guess what? Everybody's paying me 75 more starting next week. I have had people do that because they were just feeling it. Please don't do that. Let's talk about how to roll this out gently, morally, ethically, clinically together in a coaching call. Okay, I have a few minutes, Andrea, yes, and I meant to do that last time and I forgot. We have a few minutes. If you've got some questions that you want to ask now, I'm here for it. I'm sure that they're, yes, RK.
I'm kind of curious about what makes this. I'm kind of old. I feel very old. I'm not, but I kind of feel very old because I rolled out of associate licensure into independent licensure and started my practice with no insurance immediately. And so I've been doing this for 3 years with no net. And I did TPA, I did like some of LIM, and now I'm here listening to you. And so what I'm wondering is and I coach with Nick Bognar, and so I do a lot. And what I want to know is what makes you different? Why should I listen to you? And what actionable things are you doing? Because I do kick ass. I'm fantastic. And I want to know what makes you different than everyone else that I'm following and listening to that's going to get me clients in the door when it's been 7 months and I haven't done
Oh,
it. I've
oh,
gotten
it's only
some.
been 7 months. Okay, okay. So
No,
I'll
I get calls, but they start paying and then they can't
drift off.
figure out they can't pay
Oh,
the money or they can't stay or something like that. And ABC always be closing. I can get the sale closed, but I
uh-huh.
can't. They're like, what makes you different? Like why?
Okay, well, so I'll be straightforward with you. I have no idea how they teach or what they teach, so I don't know how I'm different than them.
Sure.
But you'll
But
come to know over the course of the free training series, and maybe you can tell me how
sure,
my model is different from theirs. But just to troubleshoot with you for a second, if
sure.
you're getting them in the door, but
Uh,
they're not staying, and that's the pattern that you're seeing, is
uh-huh.
that what you're noticing?
It's a theme I've noticed at every level of payment.
Interesting. Okay, so you're getting found is working, your
Sometimes,
conversion is working.
sometimes. It seems like no
Okay.
matter how I change, there's drought. This is the longest that it's been a drought. It was 7 months, and uh, I, I have now I have trans kids finding me themselves. I have
Oh, cool.
no right. My like I'm not niched. I haven't done that myself. The only
Mhm.
client base I have is trans kids who go looking for a trans person and find me. That's the only
Amazing.
thing that I have. So like
Amazing.
I'm still trying to figure out my SEO. The
Yeah.
only and all of those pieces, literally the only client base I have at the moment are lost, scared trans kids who are trying to like find someone and they find me consistently. But
Gosh,
like
boy, that makes it so easy to market. Okay,
no, it
so,
doesn't because like literally they're children.
oh,
And
so
so
they can't pay.
right.
Okay.
So yeah.
So here's what I want to do with you, but I would wait until the train series is over in case you can find the answer through what we say for free.
Yeah.
But if not, I would love
Mm,
you to do a one-on-one with me so we can audit what the hell is happening and see where the problem is. You might not need that. I would do the free stuff first. Let's talk in a coaching call, but you're going to need a deep dive to audit like
mm.
what is happening here that it sounds like the getting found has fallen off a little bit and then the staying, the retention is falling off and that doesn't make any kind of sense. So I would say we need a deep dive, but maybe just teaching the model is going to show it. I will say this. If you guys have invested in SEO, nope, I'm going to bigger picture it. There are algorithms, okay? For a while, Facebook was a kick butt place to like get seen by people and become trusted by people. Then the algorithms, and it wasn't anymore. And then there was a period of time where ads were a great place to get seen. And the algorithms, and then they weren't anymore. For a long time, SEO was like chef's kiss and getting found. It's not really getting picked, getting found. But guess who's eating up a whole lot of SEO? Our mortal enemies. No, all of these big tech companies who have unlimited budgets to pay for SEO and to produce content. So they're winning all of the SEO points. So what I always think about is what are the fundamental truths of marketing? Get found, get picked, get found, get picked. How can I make sure that I have at least two ways to get found? And one of them is eternal. It does not matter what any algorithm is doing. And the other is taking advantage of a favorable algorithm right now. So AEO is the most favorable algorithm right now. But also, your eternal algorithm is person to person connections. Because guess who can't pay for those? Those big companies that are eating up the algorithms. And right now, AEO is a winnable algorithm for us because of the way the algorithm is written. So it wants to refer to humans, not big conglomerates. And the reason is that it wants you to, boy, I'm getting all over the place, but that's okay. It's fun. It wants you to, AEO is AI search. So people are going to ChatGPT and they're like, hey, I'm looking for a therapist who blah, 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 blah. And then ChatGPT or Claude or whoever they're working with is going to spit out 3 to 5 therapists. But it doesn't spit out BetterHelp. It doesn't spit out Talkspace because it looks for match. So there has to be a lot of specificity. So if you were to have, and I know that this is not what you want to do, RK, but if you were to have trans kiddos seeking a therapist who truly gets it, well, AI would be like, yes, please, I can match that perfectly. But no big company can be that specific, and we can. All right, Letitia.
Okay, this is my own personal testimony about why Amber
Oh,
is qualified to tell us anything. Amber uses herself as the guinea pig. She goes out there, she trains, she gets coached, she learns, she comes back and tells us because she wants us to succeed. She wants us to be successful. I took her training for the AI pages back in, I think, February, and have already received, I think, 3 times return on that investment.
stop. Aw,
I swear.
you
And
just made
and
my
I,
week.
I build I build websites. I have done a bunch of trainings myself, as far as it comes to marketing and stuff like that. And I've done ads, all the things. Nothing's worked this well.
Aw, I'm so
Nothing.
happy. I'm so glad. Thank you so much for saying that too. You made my freaking week.
You're welcome.
You made my week. Yeah. Yeah. And you are a badass at making websites. So plug yourself, put it in the chatty chat. I do not build websites, but I'll tell you what needs to be on it and how it needs to look, but I'm not building a website. All right, you guys, I will see you on Wednesday. It is a big day. It's a 2 hour training on Wednesday. And it's going to be a little mentally heavy. So bring your caffeine, like be willing to wiggle. You don't have to sit still for the whole time. I know that I won't, but it's the crux. So get found is our next one. The following one is get picked. Get picked, there will be a puppy. So that also will be important. All right, I'll see you soon. Bye, guys. Oh, and you know what, Chantal, can we drop the free tool one more time just in case anybody came late and I'll hang out for a few minutes? RK, while you're still here, did Therapy Practice Accelerator, are they ads based? Is that how they drive traffic?
They so it was in 2023.
Uh-huh.
I cannot tell you what they are doing now in the Christian Lord's year of 2026. Um, but they did do Google Ads then, and so they taught it
Okay.
regularly. They also like teach you to build your web page, teach you how to write copy,
Mhm.
um, a bunch of other things. It was expansive.
Yeah, I remember seeing ads and being like, holy cow, you got to have a high ceiling to be able to pay for it. But I've heard mixed things. I've heard great things and I've heard
They
not great
they I did it because I was fucking desperate, and I will give them all credit because they heard my desperation and they let me pay monthly
things.
at a
Oh,
rate that I could afford. And so I will forever be grateful to them because I would not have a practice at all if they had not given me that.
Sorry, what's the
Like,
secret word again?
the secret word is confidence. Confidence. I'm glad. I'm glad that they saw that for you. And I'm hoping the free stuff will help you. I know I can't do a deep dive with you unless we're
no,
in
I
a group.
wasn't asking for that. It's just that like I've done many of these
Yeah.
to, try and get past that ceiling.
Yeah.
And I was able to bring over a lot of my like existing clients from there, but
Awesome.
it paid for it. It did pay for itself and then some because even with where I'm stagnating, I have a $65,000 a year practice. For anyone listening, I left one of the big like
Companies.
company international. I left ThriveWorks. Like I'm not speaking ill. I loved working for ThriveWorks. I left ThriveWorks. I took my patients with me and I started my own company. And I was never on insurance because of listening to people like Amber. And my first full year, I made $60,000. Um, because I built a website and I ran on whatever was at the time, which was Google Ads. And I wouldn't have been able to do it without companies like this, which is at the time was TPA. And it's worth it. It's hard. Um, but I've never been on insurance in the entire time that I've been independent. And so, have you ever had a pay raise like that? I went from making $15,000 a year and living off my mom to $65,000. So, that's my testimony if you would like to hear it.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. It is entirely possible. All right,
Mhm.
guys, I'm going to go because I've got a workout scheduled. I'm going to do it. I don't want to do it, but I'm going to friggin' do it. All right, guys, see you soon. Bye.